And this is the Hyannis 2 athletes meeting for 2025. So thank you guys all for being here. This is being recorded. It will be on our YouTube channel. That's New England Endurance Events YouTube channel, which also will go on our athletes guide. So if there's anything that we talk about tonight and you're like, what was that? You can go back to the athletes guide and you will find it there. I'll put it up there by tomorrow morning. If you have friends that are not able to be on tonight and you're like, you really need to know this stuff, send them over to that YouTube. And that way they'll get to learn all the same stuff you guys are. So, so Andy Sheridan is going to join us a little bit later on for the Q&A. So Andy and I are race directors for the Hyannis Triathlon as well as our other 7 races. And I'll tell you guys all a secret since you're on tonight that there is an 8th race that will come up in 2026, but it's special. We're not going to tell you any more about it except for that, and it's a lot of fun. But as we go along more, you'll learn more about it. So at least you guys have that little like inside secret. Um, all right, I'm going to share my screen. I have lots and lots of slides. I'm going to try my hardest to get through them. Like some of it's just going to be, hey, you need a visual, but I'm just going to run through it and tell you. So if you have any questions, if you'll throw them in chat, Andy or I will answer those as we get farther along. Sometimes Maureen, one of our assistant race directors, is on as well, and she might go ahead and answer you in chat, or some of you have been with us for a really long time and you know the answer. And if so, go ahead and answer that person in chat. Our usual format is we almost hit 100, by the way, guys. We have 98 of you on tonight, so thanks so much. So our usual format. So the first part of this athletes meeting will be anything that's new or pretty new between Hyannis 1 and Hyannis 2 for this year. So if you've been racing with us and you're like, I just need the like lowdown, what's going on right now, you'll get that, and then you can get off if you wish. The next section is going to be anyone who is a triathlete, has done lots of races, but hasn't done this race. So then we'll be able to go through at that point, like the map and all that kind of stuff. The last section is all for, as we affectionately call you, our newbies. So those first timers. So you're new to triathlon and like the whole thing is, something you haven't quite done before and you really need like the down and dirty. So all of that will be at the end. So if you have a question that is like just triathlon in general,
I like
then
that back.
then you'll want to hang on to your question for a little bit because it might get answered throughout. And we will answer questions that are more for like the new athlete. Even if you ask it early on, we're going to save it until the end because that way we can get those veteran triathletes that just kind of need the basic info, so we can get them out and hopefully eating their dinner. So that's kind of our format. We have those 3 different sections. In between each, we'll be able to answer questions that are specific to that section. So the oop, the we now have 100 participants. So that is very nice. Thank you guys so much. Um, let's get started. You ready? Um, there we are. Okay, everyone sees that, right? You guys see, yeah. Okay. Oh, all right. Sorry, just getting this to the right size of my screen. All right. So if you have any doubt about any information about the race, you can go to the athlete's guide, and that will give you info. This recording will also be on the athlete's guide. And so let's just dig right in. Packet pickup, we have been doing the check-in passes. You'll receive an email either should be Thursday evening. Sometimes it's Friday morning. Check your email for that check-in pass. It will have your name, make sure that that's correct, your category, your swim wave, and all of that kind of stuff. It will also say whether your USAT number is valid. So if you don't have a valid USAT number, either you're an annual and it hasn't renewed, or you haven't gotten your 1 day, or if you're 1 day, let's say you signed up for sprint and then you switched over to Olympic, if you didn't change your USAT number then that throws like an invalid thing. So if that's the case, then you're going to want to deal with that before you get to the race. So that way you only have to get in one line. And it will save you a lot of time in picking up your packet. So if that's the case, if you go into your athlete account, you should be able to fix your USAT number there, at least get started there. There'll be a link. And if not, if you really struggle, then I would go to info@kneeevents.com, and I'm going to put that right in the chat. And Maureen will, or sometimes Beth Ann will be able to take care of you. The duathletes, the aqua bikes, and the aquathon athletes all need USAT numbers. Absolutely everybody does. We are a sanctioned event, and some of the benefits of that is that if, let's say, you had some incident, you end up crashing on your bike or something like that, then the USAT, the insurance that we have, it's a supplemental insurance, health insurance. So it would cover your expenses, your like medical expenses beyond what your insurance does. So everyone's got to have the USAT insurance. That's the benefit to you. It covers us as race directors, and it's required. Um, Registration will be able to stay open until race morning. So you guys can come on. We are getting a little closer to capacity than we have in the past, but we don't expect to reach it. So you guys are good. Friends can sign up all the way up to race day. I'll go over the Olympic and sprint swim courses for anyone who wasn't at Hyannis 1. Swim warm-ups will be allowed up to 7:20. I'm going to show you the map exactly where you can warm up if the Olympic course is going on and you are in the sprint. And then our hydration on the race courses drip drop. There's the website will be on one of the later slides if you want to check them out and order something, you might be able to get it just in time. An issue we run into at every race is people wanting to take their bikes out of transition before the last cyclist comes in, and you can't do it. It is a USAT rule. It's also a safety rule, and we definitely adhere to that. So plan accordingly. Expect to be in transition until 9:30, 10 o'clock. And then after that, you'll be able to leave with your bike. Potholes, we'll talk a little bit about potholes in a little bit. There are some potholes and some rough patches, they are public roads. And Andy has been working with the police and DPW to try to get all of those filled, but it is public works. Race Foods D'Angelo's. And then any of you that are Big Three participants, which means you signed up for the Big Three, as they call it, you get Gooder glasses, but not everyone has picked up their Gooder sunglasses. So if you have not, please, when you pick up your T-shirt, just ask Deb. She's that little one. She's a little bit feisty, and say, "Hey, Deb, I need my Gooder sunglasses. I was a Big Three participant," and she'll be able to give those to you. All right, water temps are currently, there is some discussion about exactly what the water temp is, but we know it's in the mid 70s. So wetsuit legal, but if you want to go in just your gear, that's fine. You don't need to have a wetsuit. All right, so I was telling you that the swim course, for anyone who wasn't at Hyannis 1, I think we might have done this same course at Hyannis 2 last year. At this point, I don't remember, so I want to make sure that you guys see this. So I know this looks a little confusing. First, I want to remind if you are warming up, so the Olympic course is going on and you're a sprint triathlete and you want to warm up in the water, we totally get that. But you've got to be over at the if we're on the beach, you're on the left side of the beyond the course. I know on here it's the right. So Andy's bought these little green buoys, and so they're not as big as the big orange ones we have or the big yellow ones, but they're a decent size enough that you can see them in the water. Don't go beyond that, please, because when you do, you end up in that Olympic course, which puts you in danger, puts other athletes in danger, and makes it really difficult for the lifeguards to be able to focus on the people that are actually doing the swim course. So if you can stay over, that would be great. And when I say come out of the water, please come out of the water. All right, so the swim for the Olympic distance, you're following yellow buoys. You're also following that little orange one there, okay? So you're going to go around the yellow buoy that's going to be close to the shore, but not on the beach. It will be in the water and you'll be able to swim around it with just a little bit of water. And then you'll do that loop twice. You'll then, for the sprint distance, you're going to follow just the orange buoys and come back in. All right. So far, we're doing great. So dripdrop.com, easy enough. We've had it for the entire season 2025. So if you've done any of our other races, you've had Drip Drop on the course. It's great stuff. It's a nice hydration product. USAT numbers. I know I mentioned it before. You have to have the USAT number in order to pick up your packet. So if you get in line to pick up your packet and they say, we don't have it, it's probably, and usually they'll tell you, you need your USAT number. So you'll have to head over across the way over to Maureen, who will have the whole list. And she's essentially going to point to this sign and say, use the QR code on your phone, show me that you've purchased your USAT number. You could do that at home too and save yourself a step. So if you go ahead, you go into your athlete account, it'll say you don't have your USAT number. It will give you a link to be able to do that. You've also probably gotten several emails saying, remember, you need that USAT number. So you could do it there. When you get your check-in pass, you'll also have a chance to get that USAT number there. So please go ahead and do it beforehand. It will just save you a ton of time and no reason to have to stand in line 2 times. All right, we always need volunteers. So if you have friends and family that's coming and they're just going to be standing around watching you only a few times as you go by, then we can put them to work. So volunteers get volunteer t-shirts, they get swag, they get some of that D'Angelo sandwich and other goodies after the race, and they get to be a part of something. So if you would like, first ask them, if you'd like for them to volunteer and they say yes, that's wonderful. You can register. Um, you can probably do it right from the website, but they can register to volunteer or just show up race morning, and Beth Ann will be able to take care of them at the volunteer tent. All right, so let me go off of this. Do we have, and I expect we have any questions about all that basic stuff? No, excellent. All right, you guys are great. So let me go back to sharing my screen. There you go.
We actually had a question.
Okay.
So on this map, it shows the course, the swim course to be clockwise from this perspective. But it looked like you were indicating it was counterclockwise on the first slide that you showed in your deck.
That's
So what direction is the swim course?
that's a good
Clockwise?
point. I was
Yeah,
thinking on my way home tonight, because I'm at home, as you can tell. And I was thinking, I'm like, shoot, tie it clockwise or counterclockwise. I've got Andy right over here. You can't see him. Andy, what direction does the course?
It goes clockwise.
We do go clockwise. Okay, sorry. So yeah, so it's clockwise.
Clockwise.
from this
Yeah.
perspective,
So
from
clockwise.
the ocean perspective.
Clockwise. So you're going to be on the beach. You're going to start on your left. You're going to go around.
Yeah, that's
And
Okay,
then,
great.
okay, so clockwise.
That's clear.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
asking that because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, geez, I don't remember. But after we get this part of the season, like my brain starts to get a little mushy. Um,
Sure.
all right, so clockwise on the swim, keep your buoys on the right. All
Got
right.
it.
So for this is the Olympic course, which is the same as the sprint course, except for this little section. So you go all the way around. You'll come over to Bay Lane. You actually make a left. There's a police officer. We've got like volunteers and staff and all that stuff there. You go along Bay Lane and you merge with those that were coming up this way. And then you go and you do that loop again. And the final part, you'll just come down here. This is for the bike. Um, Andy, as I mentioned earlier, Andy has been working with the police department and DPW to get as many of the potholes and rough road taken care of before the race. And DPW has done a great job. They did miss a little bit, which we are working on seeing if we can get them to come back out, which is a monumental task sometimes. So, and not just for Barnesville DPW, just in general, just hard. So Andy was saying around the mile 8.8. So, is this about right? Where that
Yeah.
is?
Um,
Okay. You want to come on in? Okay, here comes Andy.
so
Oh, wow.
any spot on the course, hello, everybody. Any spot on the course that we still feel a little dicey about, we are going to mark. We used to mark with pink paint. The police have given us the okay to mark with white paint. So if you see white paint on the road and it's not a lane line, in the center of the road, or on the sides, I guess it would be just on the sides, we're indicating a pothole. There's not a lot of them left. There's really only one pothole, but there's a couple spots where you have the drainage grates. And as the road settles, the drainage grates do not settle. And so it creates a little bit of a bump, and we'll be marking those as well. So we will probably be able to put into the athlete's guide within the next day or two the locations, but we realize that's difficult when you're just zipping along on the bike to remember, oh, and then I'm coming up on a spot. So just keep your eyes open for white markings, and we will put a sign on the right side of the road. It's yellow and it says bump in road. And whenever you see one of those, and once again, there won't be that many, and maybe there'll be 3 or 4. Just look for the white marking on the road and avoid to miss that. They filled something like 40 potholes or rough sections. So, but they just
Yeah,
missed,
good for them.
they
Yeah.
missed a couple.
Right. And as a general rule, we always, you should always be paying attention to the road in front of you because, I mean, these roads are traveled by lots and lots of cars and trucks and all of that. So, you always need to be responsible for, for your own cycling.
It's New England. Kathleen and I race, because we can't race in the summer, we race in Florida in the winter, and the roads never have a pothole.
Right, but they don't have
They do have some
snow.
crazy people trying to barge their way onto the course, motorists, but
But so we get the potholes, they
we
get
get
the
the
crazy
potholes,
people.
yeah.
There you go. All right. So your bike course we just talked about for the Olympics, and the only difference is that you're making this extra loop right here. And then on the run, same course as the sprint. So you're gonna go, up, around, and then the Olympic distance, there's a little arrow, if you can see it there. So you're going to turn there. There is a sandwich board there. It's either yellow or white, depending on which one we use. And that will say Olympic turn. So you're going to turn around right there, and then you're just going to go do the whole thing again, and then just come all the way down. There are 2 water stops on the course. So for the sprinters, you're going to pass those twice. For the Olympic, you're going to actually end up with 4 of them because you'll pass this one twice, and you'll pass the one over here twice as well. If you're doing the duathlon, your first run is going to go up to that turn or close to it, and you're going to go back down and around. So you'll be able to touch that water stop if you need it. It's not very far, but you never know. And then if you're doing the aqua bike, you're following that same Olympic course. Excuse me, the aqua bike, you could do Olympic or sprint. So you're either following the sprint course or the Olympic course. If you're aquathon, you're following the Olympic course. So same thing, you're going up and around, turn yourself right here, do it all again. All right. So this is the Olympic course kind of cleaned up there for you a little bit. Same thing, going up all the way around, or you're doing this little lollipop here. And of course, the swim is smaller. All right. So start times for the aqua bike. And aqua bike's only the overall award since there's not very many of you. Aquathon, same thing. You're following the Olympic course, except for you're not biking. Duathlon, of course, you're not swimming, but you're otherwise following the sprint course. All right, so that swim, we just talked about it, so I won't go through it all again. Just that reminder that please, if you're going to warm up, do that over here on the left side of the course as you're facing the water from the beach. This little horseshoe here is the finish chute for the sprint. So you've got something to sight to. You'll go through that, and then you'll follow all of the cones all the way into transition. Olympic, you've got the triangular buoys that are yellow. And sprint course, you don't have to worry about all of that Olympic stuff we were just showing there. You're really just going out all the way across and back in. and your buoys are orange and round. All right. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse here for you. The start will end up being over to the side of the swim arch. So you'll be able to go right in there and then you'll come right out and off you go over there. So hopefully that's more clear for you. Lobster pot for any of you that are a member of a tri team. We do have two challenges for the college youth and then for the triathlon clubs. It gets quite competitive as we've gone along. So we only need 6 people to create a team. So if you have a triathlon team, not an actual team, if you've got at least 6 of you there, then you can be part of the lobster pot team challenge. We do give prizes. It's 5 at race entries for the first team, and then it's 3 for the second team and 1 for the third team. So second and third team winners also get prizes. All right, we have yoga afterwards. Terry's usually out there about 9:30ish. We will announce it. And then awards start roughly 10 and then 10:30 for the Olympic. For anyone that's doing the duathlon or aquabike sprint, you'll be doing the sprint ceremony. And then if you're doing the aquathon or the Olympic aquabike, you'll be doing that with the Olympic tri. All right. We also have Sea Sports that will be present. So they do donate their time. If you have a tire that needs to be blown up, they always have air pumps. And then if there's anything else that they can do for you, that they're available to you. If you need something like yeah, like a tire or something like that, bring some money. And that way you can get a new tube if that's what you need. All right. So bring lots of friends and family. We love to have people cheering on. And our charity partner is Habitat for Humanity. The Habitat for so far for you all for registration. I know when you were registering, you saw that there was an option to give to Habitat for Humanity. And for those that did, thank you very much. So far, we've raised $977 just from the Hyannis 2 registrations. Overall, this year, for registrations across the board, we've raised over $2,600. And then Habitat for Humanity, people that want to benefit Habitat for Humanity will volunteer, and we give them money for that as well. So overall, it ends up being several $1,000s over the course of the season. So thank you guys so much for participating in that. All right, so this is our last part of this next section. Again, there's the athlete's guide, and then new to triathlon. So let me go ahead and stop the share and go ahead. Andy's got a question or something.
Sorry, I have to make a little bit of an announcement.
Here, right, come on in.
Yeah. So often for some of our larger races, these athletes meetings are over 100 athletes. And so our Zoom, we have Zoom capabilities for much more than 100 athletes and for as long as we want the meeting to go. However, we've been stuck on 100 athletes exactly.
Oh, no, that's because I needed to update my thing because I guess I only had.
Oh, you
100
already
athletes.
know this.
Sorry.
Oh,
I do know it, but I was trying to talk to everyone and update my account at the same time, and I couldn't do both, so I chose you guys.
So it's possible this will cut off at 40 minutes, which is the
No.
standard default
No,
time.
no, it won't cut off at 40 minutes because we're on my plan.
If it's on a plan.
Yeah.
All right. If for some reason it cuts off at 40 minutes, Kathleen will have to start a new meeting. So
It's not going to turn off.
if you get cut off, just give a minute and log back on. Because
Just log back on and I'll be right there.
if someone forgot to renew her in excess of 100 people,
Right,
it's
right.
also
Who
possible
knows,
that
right?
person forgot to renew.
All right. Well, I hope not. I hope not. So, okay. So, sorry. There we go. Clearly, we're a married couple, right? So, all right. So there's lots of questions. So let me go ahead and start from the top. The jellyfish. So Amanda asked about jellyfish. This morning there were a few people, including Gwen, that's on right now, that had a few jellyfish encounters. Um, Jellyfish, depends on the temperature of the water and also kind of how those currents are going, since those little boogers just follow along the current. So we're going to really hope that the current's going another way. But some things that you can do, because we do, you end up with jellyfish from time to time, thank you, global warming. So you can wear some kind of sleeve. Some people who have like I've got my wetsuit doesn't have sleeves. Well, I'll just put on a rash guard if I were swimming in water that I knew had, could have jellyfish. So you can do that and that will protect you. We do have vinegar actually cuts the sting. So the EMTs will have a spray bottle of vinegar. We will have that at our first aid tent as well. So that cuts it. So it's either that or urine, and we'll stick to the vinegar. So either one. Actually, salt water too cuts the sting. Um, so they're what they are. They are there. Um, let's see. So the other question was the Olympic swim. The Olympic swim is 2 loops. So if you think Olympic, everything you do is 2 loops. You're doing 2 loops on the bike, but remember you're going bay lane, not all the way down. And then on the run, you're also doing a loop there, as well as on the swim. The Chris asked, do we need to check bikes into transition on Friday night? No. No one can check in a bike on Friday. You check them in on Saturday morning, and that way your bike is with you and safe, and then you'll bring it Saturday and you'll be all set. But we can't be responsible for bikes in transition on Friday. And sorry, Maureen did answer these. So hopefully, Chris, you've already gotten your answer, but for the recording, they don't see the chat. So I want to make sure that I answer questions that maybe somebody else has as well. So apologies for repeating anything. Andy, do you want to talk about how hilly the Olympic bike course is? I mean, Olympic and sprint bike course end up being the same.
Sure. Um, I think the hilliness depends on what your standard of hilly is. We've had people from New Hampshire and Maine who do the race and say, well, that was a flat race. And we have others who are used to, say, just riding on the rail trail here on Cape Cod or on the Minuteman Trail west of Boston and say, oh, that was a tough race. It's hilly. So I don't think of it as particularly hilly, but just FYI, it's always good to drive a course beforehand if you can. But I realize some of you will be coming to the Cape the morning of the race, don't have that time. Coming out of transition, it's flat for the first half a mile. You are rising on a gradual hill for another, not quite a half a mile. Then you get into part of the course where it's, I would say, sort of rolling hilly, but not particularly sharp uphill or sharp downhill. There is a steep downhill about 3 miles into the course. There'll be a sign, steep downhill ahead, caution, and there's also a left turn that's part of that. So that's one to be careful about. Then you're relatively flat as you work your way into Osterville, through Osterville, coming out of the town. I think you'll find it pleasant, a pleasant ride. As you go on the last couple of miles of the 10-mile sprint course, or if you're doing the Olympic, you're still only about halfway through your race or approaching halfway. You will hit 3 hills that will get your attention. Not particularly onerous, but they are hills, and then they also have a downhill, which is also part of the package. So you get to speed along downhill, and a lot of the racers will pick up the speed downhill so that they can carry that speed into the next uphill because they are one after another. After you make the right turn from South Main Street onto Craigville Beach Road, and you're over 9 miles into the race, you'll have a gradual downhill, which will then lead to a flat section leading you into transition. So, and then the run, there is a bit of an uphill, about a quarter or a third of a mile into the run, but it's, once again, it's not steep. I think it's very manageable for almost anyone. And the benefit is you'll get a downhill when you're coming back from your run into transition along that stretch. And the rest of the run, I think, is pretty flat.
Thanks.
Sure.
All right, and then thank you for asking the somebody asked about the there's a no pass zone, which was a great question. I was trying to figure out who it was. But thank you for asking that. Let me I'm going to show you, for those that aren't aware, on the map just where that no pass zone is. So actually, Andy, do you want to?
Are you moving all right, I'll move the cursor. This area here is a somewhat narrow road, and the police asked our race probably over 20 years ago to institute a lane of cones, and the bikes will have to go inside that lane of cones, about 5 feet, 6 feet wide. And for safety's sake, then we have to make this a neutral zone. So in other words, once you enter into this cone of this zone of cones along the side of the road, and you're working your way up, that is a little bit of a hill there. You're not allowed to pass anyone. And we do have officials stationed there because it's a safety concern, particularly because the cars that are on the course, and there are some cars that will be on the course, they're not expecting a bicycle, and if one just pulls out in front of them, we don't want that possible problem. So I actually asked the police detail chief the other day about about this zone, and he says that's going to be with this race forever. They feel quite strongly about it. So
Yeah, so we did try.
I gave it a
We
shot,
tried.
but it was instituted, I would say, in the mid 1990s, and so actually that's 30 years ago, and it's been with the race ever since. It's a little frustrating, particularly for some of the faster folks who want to get past some of the slower folks, but that's racing.
Yeah. And so we do, if you decide that you're going to go around those cones or you're going to pass somebody, you will get a 2-minute penalty. So if you do it multiple times, you might get more than a 2-minute penalty. So I think Hyannis one, we had 9 penalties for people going around. So don't do it, please. The volunteer that was at the start of that, and he had like a notepad and everything. You could see he was like writing down numbers, and he'd be like, "Please don't, I have to give you a penalty." And some people still did it. So you guys are warned now. You're warned at the time. Just, I know that it's hard sometimes, but that's the race. Um, all right, so let's see what other questions we have.
Backup plan if the water is too rough or choppy. So I've been racing or race directing this race for 29, 30 years now. And in that time, I do recall 2 times when the water was too rough. And we substituted a short run for the swim. Another option, which other race directors of the Hyannis Triathlon, there's only been 3, I think, in the entire history of the race, but there's been some instances where a race director has decided to shorten the swim, and that's always a possibility as well. Right now, we're looking at southwest winds about 10 miles an hour, so that probably indicates, if that holds up, that it's not going to be a flat swim, but and there will be a little bit of a chop. But then weather changes all the time, as we know. So we'll see. But we are very concerned about participant safety, particularly those who are new to the sport. And we will keep that in mind, and always we will err toward the side of safety. Much to the dismay of some of our really good swimmers who will be like, why did you shorten the course? That was my advantage. But, we need everybody to be safe. And we have plenty of lifeguards out there as well.
We do. And then Carl asked about swim angels. Yes. We have at least one swim angel. We might have two. So a swim angel, for anyone who isn't aware, is somebody, an experienced triathlete and swimmer that can actually swim with you. They only do that in the first timer waves. So either Olympic, or usually it's Olympic and sprint, in the back of the first timer waves. I'll mention it at the swim start, and then they will actually be wearing yellow smiley face swim caps, so it would be easy to spot them. So you'll just hang out there, and they can actually swim with several people. Everyone just kind of goes along together. So we do have that.
All right.
All right.
Question about dogs.
Okay.
So the town of Barnstable has asked us to inform all the athletes that dogs are not allowed on the site. Now, that doesn't mean that they do make it clear that dogs are allowed on the road. It's a public way. And so some of our spectators will just be on the road or on the edges of the road or in the parking lot with dogs. And to be honest with you, we have enough to do to have a safe race for everybody. Our staff is not policing the dogs, but it is a rule, and you will see probably some dogs there on the beach and everywhere else. But once again, the town of Barnstable has asked us to communicate to all the participants that dogs are not allowed in the transition area or around it or on the beach.
Right. The Sorry, there's another one. Oh, wetsuits. Sorry about that. You can wear a wetsuit all you like, as long as the water is below 78 degrees, which shouldn't be a problem at all. We do not have wetsuit strippers. That's a great thing for the
Long distance
Ironman.
races,
Yeah,
yeah.
but you don't do that. So you actually can't have any interference from other people anyway. So you can't have your loved one strip your wetsuit. You got to do it on your own. So most people will pull it down halfway and then run to transition and then manage to get that all the way off, or you can take it off in the water, you can take it off on the beach, whatever works for you, but you've got to take off your own wetsuit.
Right. Racking the bike. Some people are wondering because they don't have a kickstand.
Right. So let's cover that remember, we've got this one last section for the first timers.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that a little bit, because I've got several slides and we'll kind of go through that and how you rack your bike and what that looks like and all of that.
Can an athlete switch from Olympic to sprint?
Sure, you can do it in your athlete's guide. I mean, not athlete's guide. Sorry about that. Athlete's account. So if you just log into your account, you can switch it right there.
And they can do that by looking at their confirmation email.
Right. There'll be a link in there. All right.
You do need a swim cap. And if you have a latex allergy, you can bring your own.
Right,
Right,
correct.
okay.
But the question about being nervous in the swim, we do have red swim caps. I'll go over that too. But there might be some other people that are not considered first timers, and they're still like, swim is like the worst thing ever. I want to, as many eyes on me as possible. And if that's the case, feel free to ask for a red swim cap when you pick up your packet. And what that indicates to the lifeguards that are out there, that they really just need to put some extra eyes on you. So it might be that your swimming is not your thing at all, or maybe you have a medical condition and you're like, I could use a few extra eyes on me. So that's no problem at all. Just ask for a red swim cap, and you'll be all set.
Course markers. Some signs will go up on Thursday on the bike course. And more will go up on Friday. As far as the swim goes, the harbor master works with our swim chief on Friday afternoon to put out the the pilot buoys, not the actual buoys you'll see during the race, but we put some small ones out there. Because overnight, it's not a good idea to have those big buoys out there. And Maureen is right, as far as the registrations, for Olympic versus sprint. It's always almost exactly twice as many athletes doing the sprint as doing the, Olympic. 1/3 for the Olympic, 2/3 for the sprint.
All right, and then the other question was how much time do you have to set up your stuff? So transition opens at 5:30. I'd suggest getting there somewhere around 5:45. You will need to be out of transition depending if you're doing Olympic. If you're doing the Olympic distance race, you'll need to be out of transition by 6:45. If you are doing the sprint, you need to be out by 7:15. So you just want to allow yourself enough time to really get your bike set up. And for those that are new to triathlon, I'll show you that. To get your bike set up, to go through the line just to pick up your packet. Particularly if you know you don't have your USAT number or you saw it in your email that something wasn't right with that, you'll want to make sure you get there a little bit early to deal with that. But then you also want to warm up a little bit. You might want to take your bike for just a little ride, make sure everything's working right, run your legs a little bit and warm up, do a little bit of swim. So, you want to get there in enough time to make all of that happen.
There was a question about doing body marking by yourself, or will someone do it for you? You can do it by yourself. I used to always, that was my thing. Before I was married, I would ask the cutest girl near me if she would mind putting a number on. But we have body markers. They're very pleased to help you. It's the Rotary Club,
Falmouth Rotary Club.
seniors, and they are very enthusiastic, probably because they enjoy
doing it. They just, they love to help. So they'll be out there in force. There's usually like a dozen of them out there. So they're anxiously awaiting your arms and legs. And it is permanent marker. It does come off eventually, or use nail polish remover. The other question was with duathlon, where your transition area is. So for any of those I know we always talk about triathlon, but we have duathlon and aquabike and aquathon. So duathletes are considered sprint distance. So you are going to rack in the sprint section. Aquathon, you're going to be in the Olympic section, and then aquabike just depends on whether you did sprint or Olympic.
Right. It used to be, to answer Greg, it used to be that we and other triathlons would be able to publish a list of the participants who will be participating in advance. Now, due to best practices, privacy concerns, we do not do that. We won't be able to tell you exactly how many people are in your division until you actually get the results.
You'll see when you're on the swim, when you're in the beach.
And you take a look on the beach
see
and
right
see who's
there.
around you.
Yeah. Okay, and Maureen just answered the question about the parking, but for the recording, I will answer as well. Parking location, there's parking right. I'll actually show you a map or a transition area in just a sec, which will have like the parking. There's parking closer by, and there's other parking that's across the street. So parking is super easy for Hyannis, for the Hyannis races. Jay, to answer your question about water shoes, they are not allowed in a triathlon or swim run. You can wear them all you want, but for triathlons, swim shoes are not allowed. Nothing on your feet.
Swim buoy, last wave, right?
If you have a safe swimmer buoy that floats around behind you, you can use that in the last wave. Pull buoys are not anything that goes between your legs. It's considered a flotation device. You may not use that in a triathlon. Time limits, the other question. So how strict are the time limits for each section? How strict are they? How many DNFs were issued for Hyannis? I have no idea how many DNFs were issued for Hyannis 1, but you can look at results and you can find that. We are strict about time limits.
I don't think we had anyone in the last race, did we?
That DNF'd? Yeah, there's always
that DNF, but that DNF because they didn't
make the time. Yeah, I don't think so. I think the where it becomes like the most questionable is if you're doing the Olympic distance and doing the second loop, because you have to get past where the sprinters are going to be starting before we can get the sprint started. So we definitely adhere to that. Um, Josh, no one's going to see a shark. Easy enough. There's never been a shark in this water. We don't plan on on them coming on Saturday. There's no seals.
And that's not us just saying it. That's the
Yeah, that's
harbor
it. But
master has said they have never seen a shark.
right in these waters at Craigville Beach,
Yes.
no shark at all.
That's a different part of the Cape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know we all sometimes look like sharks. I mean, or we look like seals wearing the wetsuits, but the sharks, there's no, they're looking for seals and there aren't any in that beach. So I want you guys to feel comfortable. So, and it's not an uncommon question. Someone who doesn't live on the Cape, you hear all these news reports and you think, oh my gosh, that's it. But it's actually closer to where we live, but not at Craigville Beach. Um, all right. Let me go ahead. So this is a good question, actually, Mary. Thank you for asking it. Mary asked about headphones. Are they allowed? No. Easy. I want everyone to be able to hear that. No headphones. No headphones on the bike. No headphones on the run. No ear pods on the either one. Nothing that is going to distract you from what's going on in the race. You want to know, is there a car coming? Is there somebody else coming behind you? Is there some reason why you might not be safe? And if you've got something in your ears or you're focused on what's going on in your head, then you might miss that and you could get harmed. So no headphones. It is a USAT rule. It is a 2-minute penalty for that. Speaking of penalties, Maureen had corrected me. You guys didn't see it. The that no passing zone that Andy was talking about, like the neutral zone, it's actually a 4-minute penalty. I think 2-minute penalties, we found people were still doing it. So it's a 4-minute penalty. If you get caught a few times, we're going to tack on some more time to that. So 4 minutes for that no pass zone. So just keep that one in mind.
But to answer Ryan, you will not get called for drafting in the neutral zone.
Right. That would be that would really stink. So, but you will get drafting if you're drafting elsewhere on the course, and you can look at USAT rules to see what that distance is, but it's a pretty good distance. So no drafting along the course. Don't go across, of course, the yellow line. I mean, for obvious reasons, but you'll also get a penalty for that. So anything that appears to be unsafe behavior, USAT has a penalty that we adhere to. So you kind of if you use common sense, you'll be okay.
Right.
Um,
Wetsuits in the transition area. I think Kathleen will cover that in more detail in the next section. But basically, yes, you can take your wetsuit off and you leave it in the transition
Yeah,
area.
we'll talk about
Kathleen
that
will
one.
give you
Right,
more on
right.
that.
And then Sean asked about sunglasses. I don't know if that's tongue in cheek or not, but of course you can wear sunglasses. Just no earbuds. Okay, let me go ahead and share my screen again. Actually, hold on just a sec. Let me go ahead and skip back over. Earlier I think I showed you guys something else and I didn't change my screen. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and this is for anybody. This could be for anybody. If you want to stay on and you just want to hear it, wonderful. We love to have you. If you are new to triathlon, then we'll talk about some different things that will help you with your race. All right. Okay, so this is a transition area. Transition areas are for athletes only. Not mom, grandma, Uncle Bob, kids, nobody. It's athletes, volunteers, and staff. So anybody else is going to have to, what you can't see here is that there is fencing. And our staff is all around that fencing anywhere that you'd normally be able to go in. But, just tell everybody else that's there watching you that this is your area. And so that way we can keep that area safe, secure, and to also keep other people from getting in the way of somebody else, sometimes you, from doing your own race. We want to make it fair for everybody. All right. So when you go into transition in the morning, we're going to check your brakes and your bar plugs. So that's what he's doing right here. He's got his fingers on the brakes and then he's checking bar plugs. Now, Charlie's been doing this for quite some time, so he does it very smoothly. You don't even notice what he's doing. But he's doing that to make sure that if you're going down a hill, of course, your brakes work. If they don't, or you don't have bar plugs on either end. So if you look at your bike, at your handlebars, particularly the ones that are like the ram kind of handlebars, and they've got like on either end, there's a plug. if you don't have a plug and you were to crash on your bike, that could impale you. It's because it's just like a little metal round thing. It can go right through your abdomen. It's really nasty. So the bar plug will keep that from happening. So if you don't have bar plugs, you can stop by your local bike shop. They'll have them. If you forget about it and you come to the race and you get up to one of our transition volunteers and he sees that you don't have it or she sees it, they're going to send you over to C Sports. I showed you that tent earlier. Send you over there. They've got bar plugs. They'll take care of it for you. But you just show up. Someone was asking about like what time. So this might be 5:45, ready to go into transition. You'll have your bike, all of your stuff with you. And then you'll be able to go in and you've got sprint on one side and Olympic on the other. And let's see, I might or might not have a picture of that. But the Olympic is closer to the road and the sprint is closer to the beach. So there's like several rows for sprint, and then there's usually one or two for the Olympic distance. That could be aquathon or just triathlon, or the aqua bikes that are doing the Olympic distance. So earlier someone asked about swim caps. So a red swim cap indicates to us that you'd like some extra eyes on you in the water. So she's got one on here, and then everyone else will have swim caps that are dependent on the waves that they're going in. So the swim waves, usually the first swim wave that we'll do will be like the aqua bike, aquathon if it's Olympic, elite, Clydesdale, Athena, some of those smaller categories. And then we start going by age groups. So then we get our youth is usually in there. Relays are going to go around that early time. And then, then it might be, 20 to 35, let's say, men, women, which usually swims separately. Non-binary goes off first as well. And then the first timers waves are always, and the friends and family are always at the end. And that way you don't have to worry about some Yahoo swimming over you. So you guys will have the course to yourself for your swim. And as a general rule, first timers tend to be really pretty courteous. I'd say if I'm swimming in the water, I want to be in the first timer wave where someone bumps into you and it's like, oh, sorry, instead of like smack. So it's really a much friendlier wave than all the others. All right. So how you rack your bike? Someone was asking about this, right? So you're going to rack by your seat. That's fine that you don't have a kickstand because you're not going to be able to use it anyway. You're going to rack your bike by your seat and you take the bike and you put it under the bar and then you just pop it right back over here. So your bike's going to face you. I would not put my helmet there because someone's going to knock it over and then you're going to go to do your bike and you're not going to be able to find your helmet. But I am going to show you where that stuff sits in transition. Something else to keep in mind, we're talking about bikes. There is a bike number here. I know it's kind of hard to see. We're going to give you a bike number, which is like a sticker, and a helmet number. It's all on the same kind of little sheet. So you're going to put your helmet number on the front of your helmet. You're going to put your bike number either on the post or on the crossbar. If you're going to put it on the crossbar, I would put it farther over where it's not going to be in the way of your knees or your thighs. Otherwise, your legs are going to cut across that a few thousand times on the bike and you're going to chafe. So you'll put it on one or the other, but please leave it on until you're ready to leave and your bike is leaving once it's out of transition, because we're going to use that number to determine that this bike belongs to you because you're going to have a number on your arm as well. So we want to match the arm with the bike, with that bike sticker. So please leave it on for me. All right. You looked like you had a question.
No,
Or
no,
comment.
you want me to read questions yet or no?
Nope, not yet.
All right.
No, I thought you just had a personal
Nope,
question you
finished
wanted to
your
ask.
section.
Okay, there we go. All right, so transitions. We were talking about that. I should have turned this the other way for you. I apologize for not doing so. All right. So to start with, if you're wearing a wetsuit, you're gonna have all this stuff on, right? So you're gonna use for your transition mat. Some people might already have a mat. That's great. If not, like not a big towel, like a little bigger than a hand towel works fine, or you can take a beach towel, fold it in half. And you'll put that on the right side of your bike. And then you can see here, there's sneakers. They use Tri-Glide, that's fine. You don't need to. Whatever works for you with your wetsuit because you've already practiced with your wetsuit. So this is key. If you have not practiced with a wetsuit you plan on wearing in the race, don't bother wearing it because that wetsuit feels really restrictive until you get used to it. It's kind of like wearing a seatbelt. You know, for I I'll give my age when the early 70s seatbelts were first becoming a thing. And so it was like, oh my gosh, what is this thing that's pulling at me? Wetsuits are kind of like that. They're really restrictive, but after a while you get used to it. But it takes a bit. So if you haven't tried your wetsuit yet, either try it all this week leading up to Saturday or just leave it at home and don't worry about it. Otherwise, you're going to feel like most people panic because it's like right up against your neck, and that's where it's supposed to be. But it's still really restrictive. And then it's a race. It's the first time you've done it. Anxiety levels are high. That makes it even worse.
At the local triathlon club's practice race last weekend, a fellow was telling me about how he felt he needed to get used to the wetsuit quickly because the race was coming up. And so he went out in the backyard and his wife took a hose and just hosed him as he was in his wetsuit. And then he practiced taking it off and putting it on and running around the yard with it. So anything you can do, but you do want to not you don't want to do anything for the first time in a race.
Right.
And wetsuit particularly.
Right. So all of that reminds me of something I should have mentioned before. So we have a veteran triathlete who's done our races. She's done many, many races, Ironman, everything else. And she used to own Aquasafe of Cape Cod, Trish Cundiff. Trish is, besides, she's just an amazing person. She is going to be at that race clinic, which is at
6 o'clock.
5:30. Well, I think it said 5:30. Look at your athlete's guide because I think it's 5:30.
Okay.
But the so she will be there Friday morning, or not Friday morning, Friday evening when you're picking up your packet. Look at the athlete's guide. This is a good reason for you guys to go to it. So yeah, 5:30.
For 5:30.
5:30. All right, I got one right. So 5:30, Trish will be there. She's going to go through all sorts of different like swim stuff. You'll have the opportunity to swim after. It's at your own risk. But if, good time to practice swimming with your wetsuit if you plan on wearing one. She'll talk to you a little bit about the course. You'll be able to ask her all sorts of questions. She's really been super helpful for people. So that's 5:30 on Friday. So you come pick up your packet, you talk to Trish, and you'll feel really great about the race. All right, so we're still on the same slide. All right, so we kind of talked about all the wetsuit thing, what you're gonna do or not do. Ask for a red swim cap if that's what you need. Now, you put your helmet down on the ground instead of like that other person that hung it on their bars. So you're going to put it down and you put it upside down in the way so that way all you have to do is just flip it and put it on your head rather than having to like turn it all around. So that way, when you're ready to go, you got the wetsuit off or no wetsuit and you're ready to go on the bike, it's really a nice smooth transition for you. So that way you don't have that panic in the transition area of like, oh shoot, where's all my stuff? So it would just make your day go a little bit better. You can practice this stuff at home, lay everything out and be like, all right, I'm coming back from the swim. What do I do? And that will just make it feel a little more natural as you can without actually having done it the first time. But it is a huge help. So you've got your helmet. This person just left their glasses there. I'd put my glasses somewhere near my helmet so I could put those on. You need to take your bike. You put your helmet on and buckle it before you get your bike off the bike rack. Couple things for that. One, it is a USAT rule, but it's also because once you get your bike off the rack, your first instinct is to go. So if you've got your helmet already on and buckled, then you know that you're already set. So if you're wearing sneakers on your bike, that's easy enough. You're going to put those on. If you have bike shoes, then you're going to take care of that.
We have seen people or stopped people trying to push their bike out of transition to go off on their bike ride without a helmet, and we have stopped people starting their run with their helmet
With the helmet on, right? Yeah, there's always at least one person every race that keeps a helmet on for the run, and we will stop you so that way you're not stuck with this helmet while you're running. All right. So here there's also looks like this person has their running bib. You only need to wear that running number. You see it right there. During the run, you don't have to wear it on the bike. Do not wear it on the swim unless you're wearing a wetsuit and it's covered. Otherwise, it's going to come off in the water. We will give you a race belt. So for anyone who hasn't done, 5K or something like that, excuse me, the there is and I have a picture of it I can show you if you really want. If someone's like, what does that look like? But it's a little, it's just a little belt that you have, and it has little fingers that you hang your bib on. So you can do that. So you just put that on when you're ready to run. Um, so you got your helmet. If you need a hat for your run, you've got your sunglasses and your sneakers. All of that fits right there in your transition area. I always carry an extra. Some people do need goo, so you can put that there too. I always carry an extra water bottle. I like to squirt my feet because for sand. We do have kiddie pools that will be as you're going into transition where you can dunk your feet in, but I'm not that coordinated after swimming, and so I wait. So I don't want to fall in the pool. So I wait until I get back to my transition area and I squirt my feet with that extra water bottle. So you can do whatever works for you. Please don't bring a tub. Some people will bring like a kitchen tub, but you'll trip over it. Somebody else might trip over it. It could end up somewhere else in transition altogether because somebody kicked it or tripped over it. So you're better to just bring a little water bottle that you can squirt your feet with rather than dunking them in hard plastic.
Small towel comes in handy to brush off the sand as well.
Yeah, that would work better probably.
But
Oh,
as
I use water.
the real serious triathletes, they figure I'll just run 3 miles or 6 miles with a little bit of sand in my shoes and no socks.
Yeah, the socks or no socks is a question.
Yeah.
If you're wearing it brings up. So if you're wearing socks, um, practice that putting those socks on wet feet because usually in training you're not doing that. So you're coming back from the swim, your feet are going to be wet. Even if you dry them off with a towel, they're just going to be damp. So practice that a little bit at home. So that way you're not, you're not surprised during the transition. And that brings up, wait, I'm going to go off of, so I feel like let me get off of that. You guys are tired of seeing that slide. So the other thing, there's a few things that you can practice before race day, just so that way you're aware. We're talking about like socks on wet feet. Some people feel like they're going to change all of their clothes between the swim and the bike, but in triathlon, we typically don't do that. So whatever you're wearing whatever you plan on wearing in the water is what you're going to wear for the rest of the race. So, if you're gonna wear like that's where you see like these tri kits and they're like close fitting shirts because that way you can swim in that. You don't want to wear something loose or cotton in the water, or it's just going to become all floaty and heavy. And you're not going to be able to get a shirt like a shirt over your head with a wet body. So, or practice that at home and see if, like if that's something that you can do. So you just kind of keep those things in mind for the guys, if you wanted to race without a shirt, you can. Women, if you're wearing a sports bra, that works too.
Some men and women both will wear a swimsuit for the swim, and then they get to transition. They'll pull on a pair of shorts, and possibly if you feel you would like to have it, the padded bicycle shorts. There is a triathlon short which has a little bit of padding as opposed to the pure cycling short, which has more. But you can do either, especially if it's you're new to the sport. The idea is to figure it out, and each race you'll get better.
Right.
So
Yeah. But if you're putting those on after the swim though, you're saying like swim with them? Because some people will
no,
just wear a
no,
swimsuit.
put them on after the swim.
So practice that because those are hard to get on a wet body.
Yes, but swimming or cycling with just a little bit of
I know it's not
a
much.
swimsuit material between you and the
Yeah, yeah, that's not
and the
always fun.
seat is
But whatever, practice.
yeah.
Practice it now in the next few days. Just remember what your body's going to be like, through the race, So if you're coming back from swimming, you're going to be wet. So just practice. Um, The gloves are okay, of course, to wear on the bike. And we just talked about the swim.
Are you into questions?
Yeah, I was just kind of scanning through. We've got more slides, but I wanted to get all these swim things, swim questions
All
through.
right. Well, Dan was asking about the distance between the buoys and the water for the sprint. It's between 50 and 60 yards for the sprint. So if you envision a football field, think about half the distance of a football field to the midfield is about the distance between the buoys.
Okay.
And bar plugs are necessary for all sorts of bikes that have metal, the curved metal showing, whether they are curved handlebars or not. But there are some handlebars that will have something else besides bar plugs, say like a brake lever or something along those lines. But if you can stick your finger in your side of your handlebars, that's not good. And we have some, but you can pick them up at any bike shop.
Okay. And then Louise gave a great bit of advice. We were talking about the socks and trying to get socks on a wet foot, and she said, put powder in your socks. Makes them easy to get on. That's a great hack. I like that. And then I'm going to answer the bathroom question, and then I'm going to go back to the slides that we had. Are there bathrooms on the course or in transition? There are not bathrooms in transition. There are bathrooms outside of transition, and there are bathrooms in the bathhouse. So we have porta potties, and then there's a whole bunch of bathrooms in the bathhouse, which most people forget are there. So they stand in line for the nasty porta potties, and then there's like real flushable toilets inside the building. So that's now you guys will know. So you'll want to go there. But there are not any in transition, so plan ahead. And then on the course, there are no opportunities. We do not put any porta potties out on the course because these are short courses.
And that's typical for races of this length. You know, if you really need in the middle of the race to get over to the porta potty or to the bathrooms, you just tell the guard at the transition area, and of course they'll let you in and let you
Right.
back. Yeah.
Yeah, that's no problem. Lori asked about Lycra swim caps. We provide swim caps unless you have a latex allergy. Otherwise, you'll need to wear our swim caps. And for your transition area, a mat or a towel is not required, but you're going to want something that kind of sections off your thing so you've got everything together. You're not going to want to put all of your gear on the ground. All right, let's go back to that transition area. And then we'll move on to the next slide. Okay, so Lori, in here, you think if you've got all your stuff that's just sitting directly on the pavement, it's going to end up getting spread out all over the place. So you'll want something, could be anything, to put there. All right, so the other thing about transition is that you can't ride your bike in the transition area. You can walk your bike, you can run your bike, but you can't ride it in transition for obvious safety reasons. All right, and so here's somebody that is going out on the bike, and all of our flags, the out flags are green, the in flags are red. So if that helps you to be like, wait, where am I going? Look for the green flag if you're going out. So the bike out and the run out are actually all through this same area. The run out's a little bit farther over. So as you see, she's walking her bike over to the transition on there's a road that runs along here. So when she gets out here on the road, there'll be a sign, just like that yellow one that we saw on the last slide, and it will say mount here, and that's what they mean. So then you mount your bike and off you go. And then on the other side, flip side of that, there's that bike in. So she is on the street. She's coming to a spot. There's a little sign a little earlier than this that said dismount. So, and you can see it right here in this one. So it's a dismount sign. Everyone gets off the bike and then runs the bike into transition so you're ready for your run. And then that's it. So let's see if we can answer some other any other
Okay.
questions.
We had a question about wearing the wetsuit and whether or not someone has to zip up all the way. It is not a requirement that you zip up your wetsuit all the way. However, it's happened, a dozen times, at least in the last number of years, where someone is not zipped up all the way, and then the wetsuit starts to come apart. It starts to unzip itself as you're swimming. And then next thing you know, you're in trouble because the water's like filling your wetsuit and you don't know what to do. And we've had people try to take their wetsuits off in deep water and then hand them to a lifeguard to continue, and just, it's probably a better idea for you to zip it, or bring some duct tape and ask somebody in transition to, once you get it to exactly where you like it, to put a little duct tape there to hold your wetsuit so it doesn't fall apart. Parking on the map. Do you have a map that shows where parking is?
I'm not sure. I just
No, you're
have
not
never
gonna get
seen,
comments
no,
about
no,
that.
I hadn't seen the duct tape option.
Yeah.
The, I'm not sure. I will look for, I will
Duct
look
tape
for,
fixes everything.
that's true. Duct tape and zip ties. That's what we use. So, I will look for a, slide that shows the parking lot if you want to keep answering questions. How's that?
Okay.
Okay.
Are gloves okay to wear on the bike? Yes, they very much are. Powder and socks, good idea.
That might be all the questions.
Oh, did we?
That might be it. I feel like you
Um,
guys should have other
All right,
questions.
you have to answer the question about bras.
About just wearing a bra that is like without a shirt, you could do that. I think that's what the question. I think I already
okay.
answered you on that one, right?
Okay.
Okay, so the question was about parking, right? I think, was that the question?
Yes, so someone was wondering where the parking is, because
Okay.
there's two options for parking, so
Okay.
Kathleen will
So let me
us.
show you. This isn't like a parking slide, but I'm going to show you where it is. So here's our transition area right here. So there's a parking lot all through here, and then there's a parking lot across the street right there. So you've got two options to park. Either one is going to be fine since all the bikes need to be off the course before you can go out anyway. So the bike, for you guys to help you understand kind of where you are, you obvious where the swim is, right? And then you're gonna bike out from transition. You bike out on the other side. Remember, we were looking at that slide, and you're gonna run along. You're gonna bike along this road, and you're gonna go all the way out there. And then on the run, you're gonna go on the other side of transition. It goes in the other direction. So you're going to go out the other way. But parking right here and right there. And we should be able to fit all of you guys in those two parking lots. You shouldn't have to go park, anywhere else. All right. Oh, but a question though for parking. Sometimes someone will be bringing or they'll want like some loved ones to come, and they're like, oh, well, my athlete is a sprint athlete. They don't start till 7:30, so I'll show up at 7:15. They will not be able to get anywhere near that race site after 7 o'clock because there's already bikes on the road, so the police will shut that part down. So if you've got spectators coming, make sure that they get in before 7 o'clock.
Yeah, if you have friends or family coming in a separate car, make sure they get in early, and you can tell them if you're late, the police won't let you down Craigville Beach Road. And what they can do, is about the only choice they have, is to, there's a Four Seas ice cream, just tell them to look it up on Google Maps and park in the huge dirt parking lot behind it. And from there, they can either watch you as you go by on your bike, or they can even walk along the sidewalk down to the transition area.
It's a good idea. Gels are not provided. We only provide water and that drip drop hydration. You can bring your own gels and have it in transition or on the bike, whatever works for you. The
Double up on swim caps with,
and there's
did you answer
nothing
that?
illegal, although you can do it. It's not an illegal thing to do as far as USAT, but you will get hot. So that would be the only, and I'm not sure if there's any benefit to you wearing two besides like you usually get cold or something, but the water is mid-70s.
So we have three of our staffers also on this call. So when you see an answer by Beth Ann or Steph or Maureen, uh, they've answered it correctly, and we'll just not continue. Well, we'll continue on.
Okay,
Right.
and then
Small foot tubs not allowed.
please don't bring them. There will be some people, because I'm not gonna, unless I
No,
see it.
he's volunteering this year. He's not going to bring his
Oh, okay.
his
Yeah,
bucket.
we do have a friend that brings this bucket, and so he can sit on it, and then it's like, okay, everyone trips over that. You trip over it. So better to leave those kind of things at home.
Yeah.
All right. So I know we'll give some advice about Olympic versus if you've done sprint. Thank you, first of all. If John, you've done a sprint first, now you're going to an Olympic, that's great because at least you've already got an idea of what's going on before you added distance. So that's really good.
Yeah.
But we can answer that in a little bit.
Question about energy gels.
I already answered that one.
Okay, yeah, because everybody
Um,
has their own that they like.
Right, right. And then packet pickup. I should have started with that before. So if you go to the athlete's guide, you'll see the schedule and it includes when packet pickup is on Friday. You don't have to pick up your packet on Friday, but you can. So and it's kind of fun and festive. And at this point, it's almost like half of you guys will come on Friday night. It does save you a whole bunch of time on Saturday morning. So by all means, come, but don't leave your bike. Keep your bike at home until Saturday morning. Okay, will you, oh, never mind. Brian already added the Four Cs was the ice cream shop that Andy had mentioned. Um,
And there's always a cluster of people at that intersection because they arrived late and they don't want to walk down to the beach. So
so Ryan asked about the transition mat by your front or back wheel. No, this is a hotly contested issue within our family. But right, do you remember like was it Hyannis one that we had this whole discussion in front of
well,
everybody? But all right, so I'm gonna give my answer since I was the one that read. So USAT, although they've kind of changed a little bit now, they're a little more wishy-washy. It always been all of your stuff goes at the right of your front wheel. So your bike is facing you. And then when you're ready to take it off of the rack, you just kind of go and pull it back under and off you go. And that way everybody is set up. You don't end up with a big mess. So that also brings up one of my little pet peeves. You can have 6 bikes. You can actually fit 8 bikes on one of our racks. For this race, it tends to be 6. You can 6 is fine. We have enough racks for you guys, but it's 3 on each side. So it should be every other. So when I'm going through transition, sometimes I'll say that, hey, can you do every other? So that means that one bike's facing this way and one bike is facing this way. So that way you can fit more. Because if you don't do that, you've got 2 bikes side by side, they're both facing the same direction. And then one comes and picks up their bike and they're all excited and they grab the bike. They might knock your handlebars and knock your bike over. And that would be bad. Or you might do that to somebody else and you'll feel really bad. So every other gives you just a little bit of space. So I know that kind of went off the topic there, but it was still important. So it was, right?
no,
Okay.
but I won't go into the details of the whole story with the USAT changing its regulations because Kathleen really likes it if everybody.
I really wished you
a
would
certain way. So
yeah.
people
Well,
say-
no, that is with racking. That is it. But as far as the where you put your transition, where you put your stuff, if it's on the right and everyone does that, which they all won't, it just makes life a little easier.
If your bicycle cannot rack the way that Kathleen has strongly suggested, just talk to one of our staff wearing yellow shirts or red shirts, and they'll help you. I owned a bike once that could not be racked by the seat. It was impossible, just due to the configuration of the bike. And so
Sorry.
that's fine. I would just ask a transition marshal and they would always help me out. So
Yeah.
all right.
Sorry, and I'm not laughing about that. So, so Brody, it sounds like you might have come on a little late. So we already had the question about the shark. So I'm going to answer it, and I don't mean to laugh at you at all, not at all, because it's a valid question. There have never been a shark sighting at Craigville Beach because there's no seals there. Seals are always going, or sharks are always going after the seals. That's why there's plenty of them in the outer Cape, but that Hyannis area just hasn't seen any sharks. So we won't do anything because we're not going to see any sharks. Right? Everyone agreed? No sharks. But sorry, I was laughing because somebody made a tongue-in-cheek comment to that, and I thought it was funny. But no sharks. Okay. What else do you have? Open racking. Oh, thank you. So another question came up and Beth Ann answered it, but for the recording, I will answer again. The transition area is not numbered. So you can rack anywhere you want as long as it's within sprint or Olympic, as long as it follows what you have registered for, either sprint or Olympic distance. You can rack anywhere you want unless there is a sign. There will be relay signs. All the relay, you guys are all going to be in one section. That will make it easier for you guys, and you can have a little party out there. And then you're kind of away from, because some of our relay teams, there's all three of you, and then that gets kind of crowded. So we have a special spot for you guys. And then if you are a member of a team, if the team has more than um, six athletes in either the Olympic or the sprint, you get your own rack. And there'll be a name, like your triathlon club name on it. So avoid those if that's not your club. Otherwise, you can rack anywhere you want, whatever makes you happy. So thank you, Beth Ann, for answering that in the chat. Well, for the
Okay.
recording, I feel like because
Yeah.
recording can't see any of
Oh,
that.
there's another question.
Oh, that's right. Thanks, Steph. We do have veteran and first responder racks as well. So if you fall into either category, then look for those racks. They tend to be close to where you first enter transition. And we'll have them on either side, Olympic or sprint. So feel free to go there. If you're a paratriathlete, we have a separate section rack just for our paratriathletes as well.
And if you belong to a triathlon club, there's a good likelihood that we have a section just for you.
I just said that.
No, you're talking about the others.
All right, now you guys heard it again. All right, let's see. Are there any other questions that we can answer? Ankle bands. You guys will have a timing chip, and it's a little Velcro band with a little transponder on it. You'll get that when you pick up your packet. That will go on your left ankle. It goes, if you're wearing a wetsuit, you're just gonna pull your wetsuit up just a little bit so that way that's on your skin. Otherwise, when you go to take off your wetsuit, you can end up taking that off. So you'll wear that ankle band. If you are a relay team, you are going to transfer that timing chip from one person to the other because only one person wears it. So if you're swimming, you're going to have it on first. When you go to bike, you're going to transition at the rack. So you're at the rack, you finished your swim, the cyclist is ready to go. And then you're going to make sure to switch that timing chip over so that way now the bike person has it. And then you'll do the same thing with you'll do the same thing when it's time for the run. All right, let's see. Do we have any? You guys are asking such great questions. I really appreciate that.
We might be done.
All right, and then 2 loops for the Olympic.
Provided for flats and other mechanical issues. They are before the race. When you're out on the course and you have a mechanical, you try to fix it yourself. Most cyclists have a little kit on the saddlebag underneath their saddle, so that you can change a flat or something along those lines. And it's just part of triathlon. I have walked a couple of miles back to transition, pushing my bike, I don't know, 4 or 5 times in my
Have you really?
career. I have.
I haven't. I
Once.
haven't had to do that. So don't worry. It doesn't happen that often. Just apparently a lot takes.
Bikes are better now. This was in the old days when we had like these skinny little tires. And it was a mess. So
Right.
all right.
If you're concerned though that your bike might have a mechanical, like you're like, it's not working all that great, see if you can get it to the bike shop before the race, just to make sure it's working fine. So we want you to have a good race. For all of you that are on, I assume that you all are first time or close to first time. Keep in mind, just getting to race day is a PR. So being able to finish the race, that's another great achievement. Don't worry about, there's a lot of other athletes there that have been doing this for a while and they're trying to make their best time and they're racing around and all that and their anxiety is way high. Just get out there and have a good time and kind of get a feel for what triathlon's like. It is just a really great sport. It's one that I love. It's changed my life. It's changed so many people's lives. So just go out and have fun. And then, you'll never have another first race. So, really soak it in and don't worry about the time. All right. So the other question, Dan had a good question. with your gear. So if you have a bag for your gear, which I expect everyone will, you have what we call a transition bag, and that will stay with your bike. Now, normally, what I do with my transition bag is I put it behind my back wheel, so all my stuff is still kind of right within my bike area, but it's not in the way of the stuff that I'm using during the race.
Can I give my tip?
Sure, go ahead.
If you get there early enough, look for the end of a bike rack. So we're down to 50 people, so I can tell this little secret. Because at the end of the bike rack, you just have more flexibility for where you can put stuff
That's a good point.
by the bike. You're right in the middle of the bike rack. You got one guy here, another gal there, and sometimes people start spreading out, and so go for the end of the bike rack if you can.
Oh, that is great advice. Actually, Andy does that all the time, and I always kick myself because I don't. The what I wanted, I'm trying to flip through the transition area. I wanted to show you something. So one of the things that there we go. I'm gonna share my screen again. So talking about transition and like where to put your stuff, like where to put your bike in this case. So we mentioned that it was open racking, right? So you got like all these people back here and there's lots and lots of bike racks. And it's like, how do I find my stuff? So here's a trick that we learned, particularly when we race in Florida and there's like 3,000 people out there and sometimes it's open racking and you're like, there's no way to find my stuff. So what I do, here's my hack. Um, I will put my bike on a rack that's facing something stationary, something that I can see. So, like in this case, when I used to do Hyannis as a participant, I would put my rack so it was opposite so I could see the door of this. I think this one's the hotel there. So that way I knew that, okay, I know that I'm 2 rows over and then I'm going to keep going until I see that door or, whatever it is. And then I can look down and my bike's going to be right there. Or what the worst thing is when you have your bike with you, right? Because it's easy to spot your bike, or easier. But when you've got your bike with you because you're coming in from the bike and now you're trying to find all your little transition stuff and it makes it really hard. So if you have something that you can look for and like there's your anchor, that's the spot I know I'm at. All I have to do is look down, there's my stuff. I put my bike on my rack and I'm all set. So that usually helps. I think every race I get somebody that complains about open racking. They're like, I couldn't find my bike. I'm like, well, that was kind of on you.
Some
So
of our friends, they memorize 2 across and 5 down or things like that. Everybody's got their own way that works for them, but
yeah. So, and if you're going the other direction, then maybe you're looking for actually, I think that the lifeguard stands might be taken out already, but you have to look for something facing the water if you're doing it that way, or you can count it. I usually forget what that number was by the time I get back. So I look for a visual. And this is a reminder, I know some of you guys came on later. You cannot take your bike out of transition until all bikes are off the course. So hang out, get a bite to eat, enjoy the atmosphere, do some yoga on the beach with Terry, but your bike stays in until everybody is off the course. All right. Do we have any other questions? And if not, we're ready.
someone was wondering if they could get assistance having their wetsuit zipped, and triathletes are very friendly. I've never had someone say, no, I'm not going to zip you up. And when you're on the beach, you could, because a lot of triathletes like to be unzipped until they get closer to the race and then they get zipped up. And there's always someone around to help you.
Yeah. And I look, I know Andy's never on the beach at the start because he's either in the water or he's out on the course, but I'm right there. And normally when you guys come up to me, I kind of glance around and make sure. And there's been plenty of people I've been like, here, let's zip this up for you. So ask somebody, and the last resort is going to be me. So that's the way it works.
Triathletes are a tribe.
That's right.
Right.
So you guys, thank you all for being on tonight. And I just tell you, it's just a great sport, and you're going to have so much fun on Saturday. And just do your best. Whatever your best is, that's what you do. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing. So thanks, guys, so much for being on. We will see you either Friday night for packet pickup, or we'll see you Saturday morning. So I hope you guys have a great night.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye-bye.